to testify to the truth. Everyone on the side of truth listens to me." "What is truth?" Pilate asked. With this he went out again to the Jews and said, "I find no basis for a charge against him. But it is your custom for me to release to you one prisoner at the time of Passover. Do you want me to release the King of the Jews?" They shouted back, "No, not him. Give us Barabbas." Then Pilate took Jesus and had him flogged. The soldiers twisted together a crown of thorns and put it on his head. They clothed him in a purple robe and sent him up again and again, saying, "Hail, King of the Jews!" And they struck him in the face. Then once more, Pilate came out and said to the Jews, "Look, I am bringing him out to you to let you know that I find no basis for a charge against him." When Jesus came out wearing the crown of thorns and the purple robe, Pilate said to them, "Here is the man." As soon as the chief priests and their officials saw him, they shouted, "Crucify! Crucify!" But Pilate answered, "You take him and crucify him. As for me, I find no basis for a charge against him." The Jews insisted, "We have a law, and according to that law, he must die, because he claimed to be the Son of God." When Pilate heard this, he was even more afraid, and he went back inside the palace. "Where do you come from?" he asked Jesus. But Jesus gave him no answer. "Do you refuse to speak to me?" Pilate said. "Don't you realize I have power either to free you or to crucify you?" Jesus answered, "You would have no power over me if it were not given to you from above. Therefore, the one who handed me over to you is guilty of a greater sin." From then on, Pilate tried to set Jesus free, but the Jews kept shouting, "If you let this man go, you are no friend of Caesar. Anyone who claims to be a king opposes Caesar." When Pilate heard this, he brought Jesus out and sat down on the judge's seat. "Here is your king," Pilate said to the Jews. But they shouted, "Take him away! Take him away! Crucify him!" "Shall I crucify your king?" Pilate asked. "We have no king but Caesar," the chief priests answered.
It's sort of amazing, but for almost 2,000 years, people didn't believe in me. For 2,000 years, the church, many people in the church were saying that I never actually lived. It wasn't until 1961. 1961 in Caesarea, in northern part of Israel, they were doing some excavations. And there, where they were excavating, they found a 2 by 3 foot tablet that had my name on it. Pontius Pilate gave this building to the people of Caesarea. Can you imagine living for 1900 years and having nobody believe that you actually were alive? I was alive. I ruled in Jerusalem and the land of Israel. I was the second longest ruler of the governors from Rome. I was there for 10 years. A lot of you today probably as Christians think, "Oh man, Pilate was just sort of a loser, a loose cannon, who didn't have any moral backbone, who was a jellyfish." But I really was a good guy. Well, who am I? Pontius Pilate. I heard that all of you sort of did a creed about a half hour ago, that you said, "He suffered under Pontius Pilate." For 2,000 years, the church has been talking about me and sort of bad-mouthing me. Well, let me explain who I really am. Let me explain what history has to say about me. And let me explain what really took place with some things. First off, my name, Pontius Pilate. Pontius. I'm from the area south of Rome, hill country. My family, our clan of people, were a very noble clan of people. We were warriors. We tried to overthrow Rome a few times, and we almost did it. We almost conquered Rome a few times, but they were able to stop us. Eventually, over the years, my clan just became assimilated into the Roman Empire. But when we did that, we went from being noble people to being what you would call middle class people. Pontius, where I'm from. Pilate, my name. My name simply means a javelin, a spear. About a 5-foot spear, 2 to 3 feet of the spear is made of wood, and the other 2 to 3 feet of the spear is made of iron, made into a spear. What we would do is we'd take the spear in war and we would throw it at our enemies, and it would hit their shield, and it would pierce their shield, and their shield they couldn't use anymore because all of a sudden they're hanging on to this long spear, and their shield would be down and their protection would be gone. Pontius, from southern part of Rome. Pilate, spear. It's thought probably I was a military person and that I worked myself up in the ranks. Well, let's go not just from my birth, but let's look at what some people say about my death. Some people claim throughout history that my death was a very cruel death. Some say that I was exiled to Gaul, up in European area, and that I committed suicide up there. All over the struggle of the questioning of what is truth to the Messiah, what you call the Messiah. Other people say, no, that's not how the Pontius Pilate died. He was such an evil person that he was executed. Then he was thrown into a river, the Rhine River. The river spit me up. Then I was taken out of that river, thrown into a second river, and that river spit me up. Finally, I was buried on a mountainside. It's another one of the views of my death. Another view of my death is that I was buried on a mountainside up in the European area near a lake. And every Good Friday, my spirit comes back. And people of the area still today, they say, can see me coming back and washing my hands in the lake by the mountain. Well, I don't know about you, but for me, none of those sound like a good death. I like the idea more what the Greek Orthodox Church has said. Maybe not said about me because they don't see me very highly, but they look at my wife and they have canonized my wife. You can recall, she's the one that came to me and said, Pilate, honey, sweetheart, don't have anything to do with this. He's an innocent man. Don't condemn him. Maybe you remember that. So the Greek Orthodox Church canonizes her, but I personally like the Egyptian church. I mean, the Ethiopian church. The Church of Ethiopia. Maybe you remember there was the Ethiopian eunuch right after the Messiah's death, and one of the deacons went down and saw the Ethiopian eunuch as he was traveling. That eunuch brought Christianity back to Ethiopia. Well, the Ethiopian church not only canonized my wife, but also canonized me. June 25th of every year, they have a celebration in my honor. Pontius Pilate's honor. I was governor. I was governor of the land of Israel for 10 years. As I said, the second longest running governor. But what really does a governor do? What really is a governor's responsibility? Well, my first responsibility was to be the tax man. Think you call them the IRS agents? I was the tax man. And I had all of these other people, local people, working for me, gathering the taxes. I had to bring in the taxes so I could send the taxes off to Tiberius, the emperor. I was the tax man. Some of you maybe have read before about one of the other followers of this Messiah, Matthew, who was a publican, which is also called a tax collector. I mean, when Matthew became a follower of this Messiah, I lost income because of him. He's not collecting any more taxes for me to send off to Tiberius. Maybe another individual that you know as a tax man was Zacchaeus. Remember the story that Jesus is going through the town and Zacchaeus had to be my shortest tax collector I had. I didn't think he could do the job, but he did the job so well, he became a wealthy man. Well, after he met the Messiah, he changed and he gave all the people his money that he had stolen from them. He's not doing as well for me anymore either. Somehow that Messiah